The Supreme Court also ruled that President Biden is not allowed to wipe out hundreds of billions and perhaps trillions of dollars in student loan debt, which would have been very unfair to the millions and millions of people who paid their debt through hard work and diligence. Very unfair. But this was a way of trying to buy votes. That's all it was.
Former President Trump applauding the Supreme Court for being a check to the vast overreach of the Biden administration. Friday's 6-3 ruling struck down Biden's $400 billion student loan bailout. The majority opinion said it was a clear act of executive overreach and quoted former Speaker Nancy Pelosi taking that exact same position in the past. But Biden claimed the 6 justices were wrong when asked whether he overreached.
Did you overstep your authority?
I think the court misinterpreted the Constitution.
President Biden is now planning to try again using what's called the Higher Education Act, which he claims will allow the education secretary to waive or release loans under certain circumstances. It's likely to face the same legal challenges as his original bailout plan. For more on this, let's bring in Florida Attorney General Ashley Moody. General Moody, thanks so much for joining us on Sunday Morning Futures. Do appreciate it. Look, 2 big cases at the end of the court's session here. Let's tackle the education bailout, the bailout of the student loans. What's your take on that?
Well, look, you know the United States has the world's leading amount of debt. I mean, we're standing at about 31 trillion. So to have a president that comes in and wants to unilaterally put 400 billion extra on taxpayers is incredible. It was a major power grab. It has always been the law of the nation that these major questions of economic policy are decided by Congress. The president and its unelected agencies have no ability, no lawful right to come in and make these kinds of decisions. So, you know, this is a major separation of powers issue, and to have a president of the United States even suggest that the Supreme Court misinterpreted this was an easy one. And I love, you know, when you have leaders that come out and say, this is such a snow job by President Biden trying to say he's trying to help hardworking Americans. Exactly the opposite. They were trying to push all this debt, all this expense, $400 billion on hardworking Americans. So I love it when you have folks come out and call them out on that. The narratives they try to spin are just unbelievable sometimes.
Yeah, it is amazing to think that the Biden administration thinks it's okay to take somebody else's loan and make you pay for it. That's what's absurd about all this. And you can't just wipe out $400 billion. I think the justices did get it right in this case. Another landmark case, which will affect residents in your state and every state, has to do with affirmative action. The idea that maybe merit should be the primary focus on how you select your next students rather than some affirmative action plan. What was your take on that Supreme Court ruling?
Well, you know, Florida has eliminated race-based considerations from our universities since 1999. Governor Bush was in office, and he said, look, I don't want the color of someone's skin determining whether or not they get into a university. And they came up with a method for making sure diversity of perspective and experience and thought was assured, but not judging people on the color of their skin. And in fact, the Supreme Court came out and said, this is unlawful. We are a nation that judges people not based on the color of their skin. That's the definition of equality in this nation. And there are ways that you can assure we have this kind of diversity of thought and experience like we've done in Florida for decades, without basing it on the color of someone's skin. So, you know, of course, this is now the ruling of the land. This is the law of the land. But we've been doing this in Florida for some time.
The Democratic left, the Democrats are really outraged about this. Their political ploy has been one of division and separating people based on the color of their skin, so contrary to the comments of Martin Luther King. Listen to Justice Sotomayor on her take on what was going on in this case. So I thought it was sound, but she had a quote about this. She took a very strong position on this case and, was chastised for getting the facts wrong. The 6 unelected members of today's majority upend the status quo based on their policy preferences about what race in America should be like, but is not.
I absolutely disagree with this statement. In fact, justices came out and said, when we are judging people, let's look at the experiences they have gone through. How have they shown and demonstrated courage, determination, the ability to overcome adversity? We can consider those things without saying and recognizing that we should judge them on the color of their skin. I mean, look at the hardships people have overcome. That can be considered. And that can be applied to people of all skin colors. And so I think that this is a decision that will move our universities in a direction of judging people by the merits, and maybe that includes the odds that they have overcome, the circumstances that they have had to face head on and fight through to apply for admission, and that would be available to every person regardless of skin color. So I think if you read through this decision, people will see that the justices understood the need for diversity of thought and experience and perspective, and this ruling is not contrary to that.
I want to shift gears with you because Florida just did something interesting. It became law yesterday, putting more requirements in terms of offering identification for certain services. I happen to think everybody should have to show an ID for voting in an election. Crazy me for thinking that. But explain what this law did in Florida to tighten up on illegal immigration.
Well, as you have seen, especially during the disastrous Biden administration when it comes to immigration, the states have had to bear enormous costs and challenges as it relates to our criminal justice system from this radical open border policy. And Florida is trying to pass legislation to deal with that within the bounds that we can. Of course, the federal government is not doing its job, is not following the law, and so a lot is left on the states. So, for example, one of our laws now, we have to determine who is coming into our hospital system, how we are managing these costs. Is this for citizens that are paying taxes? Is this for people that are here illegally? We have to account for numbers that are coming through our criminal justice system. And our laws are now designed to identify and account for that. As you know, many of my challenges in courts that have been successful, we've had to show standing. How is this policy affecting Florida? And many times, it's hard to do because a lot of this has been done under cover of night. It's been done with a lot of smoke and mirrors. In fact, a lot of what's happening now, a lot of their bragging about numbers going down. Look, numbers are not going down. This is a laundering scheme by the Biden administration to shift how they're counting numbers, and the states are trying to address how this is going to impact them. So I believe you'll see a lot of states start following Florida's lead and passing legislation to try and get their hands around the data and understand what's happening, how their states are being affected.
Yeah, Congressman Mark Green out of Texas, or out of Tennessee, I should say, has stated that there was a threefold increase in the number of Chinese nationals crossing our borders in fiscal 2023. 10,000 Chinese nationals apprehended on our border trying to come across our border. It's not just a problem with Central and South America. It is a global problem. Glad to see Florida is actually taking some action and putting new laws in place to try to fight back against that. Florida Attorney General Ashley Moody, thank you so much for joining us on Sunday Morning Futures. Do appreciate it.
Great to be with you.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.